move the camera that way. Anyway, I'm going to live bottle this beer. It's called Spruced Up Pale. It is a pale ale that is inspired, let me get it right, by a Welsh brewery called the Celtic Experience. I'm sure that's what they're called. And I took their recipe and kind of diverged from it, changed a load of things. Couldn't get the spruce tips that I was supposed to use, so I ended up using pine needles, which is the next best thing. Last time I tasted this, it was extremely bitter, so I'm not sure whether I overshot with the bittering hops. It's a possibility, but I did then whack in 17 grams of Simcoe, or 17.2 to be precise, because I couldn't be asked to take the 0.2 off. But we're going to get this opened. We're going to do a hydrometer test. We're going to see what the gravity says against the digital hydrometer that's in there. It's been cold crashed for 24 hours. And this time I actually put in a, what's the word? Like a weight inside the hop bag, so that the hop bag would sink to the bottom instead of just floating around on the top. It might make a difference, it might not, I don't know. I'm sure we'll find out. So let's just cross-reference it for now. Now all the yeast that was at the top a day ago has now all since gone down to the bottom. There's still a bit of gas coming off it, bubbles and so to speak. So it's still like off gassing maybe. But let's have a quick look at the hydrometer. If you're not sure what a hydrometer is, then it's a device that measures the gravity of a liquid. So the more sugar or dissolvables that there are in a liquid, the higher the gravity, thus the denser the liquid is. As the fermentation ferments that sugar, it then decreases the density. What you do is you take a start reading and an ending reading, and what it does, it tells you how much alcohol you've got in there basically. And as always, I forgot to bring a glass, so I better go do that. So a little taste. Hopefully the Simcoe in there has now got rid of some of the excessive bitterness that was in there. Yeah, I'm not sold on that. It's got a bit of a taste like a Citra Pale that I did tasted like. It wasn't all that great. But anyway, we're going to bottle this. I've got some bottles washed, all sterilised. Let's get that out of the way. We can gently pop the lid back on for now. And feel free to drop some comments down below, people. Hello, everybody. Didn't realise we had so many people in, but I'm just bottling my homebrew. So, possibly a bit boring, but let's see if we can get a better angle on that. There we are. I'm going to attach the bottle wand. Now, the fun thing with lives is anything can go wrong. So, you know, this tap could fall off, or I don't know, anything can go wrong, and I'll have to deal with it as and when it's happening. But first things first, we need to pull off a small amount of this. We can use that glass again, actually, because it's going to be pretty gunky. It's going to have lots of yeast floating around in it, and we don't want that. A little bit more, nice bit of chunky. Now, the actual reason for it is there's normally a little piece of plastic that fits on the inside of that tap entrance, and I forgot to bloody well put it on. So the problem I've got is I'm going to be pulling through quite a bit more yeast matter. Hello, Layla. Yes, I am as British as they come. Although you say that, I'm actually half Welsh. But hey, we will not differ from what is going on. So I've got 20 odd bottles of this to bottle. Now I'm not sure whether it tastes a bit off, if I'm honest. It does taste a little bit like the Citra Pale that I did, which tasted a little bit random, to say the least. Not quite sure why it went like that, but it sure did. And yeah, I mean, I drank it because, you know, I'm not going to bloody well waste it. Why would you? It's still beer, but I thought that I'd let it age and it'd make it taste better, but it bloody well didn't. It still tasted like ass. But you know, it's one of those. It's hit and miss. I've got a flipping cobweb on this one, or is it glue from my daughter's glue gun? Might be glue. Sorry if I ignore the chat. I do have to concentrate at certain points, otherwise this will just go all gushing all over the place. Now last time I did a live bottling, I had it tilted to the side, what's it called, horizontally, so the chat wouldn't work, because horizontal is more for people that are streaming video games and things like that, where they're not really bothered about the interactions because they can't actually see what's going on anyway, because obviously they're playing the video game. But after we have bottled each one of these, it's then going to go up top here, and we're going to add a tiny little bit of sugar. And what this is called, it's called priming it. The tiny little bit of sugar will then ferment, causing loads of bubbles to rise up to the top. The bubbles are going to be trapped into the bottle, so it's going to be forced into the liquid, and that is how we do what is called force carbonating, or bottle conditioning. Actually, yeah, it's bottle conditioning, because naturally carbonating and bottle conditioning. Hello, Junkie. Hello, dude. How are you? Not quite sure why you'd say hello, Junkie, but I can live with that, you know? So it is a bit of a long process, but it does get, obviously, beer put into bottles. The sooner it's in bottles, the sooner you're able to drink it. After bottling, I normally leave mine probably about a month, 1 month in the bottle to mature, get it tasting a little bit nicer. Everything just finalizes a little bit in the bottle. Last brew I did, which was a British pale ale or English pale ale, I actually had to reopen all of the bottles and add a tiny speck of yeast to each one, because I don't, for some reason, like all the yeast matter had dropped out, so it wasn't actually able to be carbonated, because you need a certain amount of yeast particles still in the beverage for it to be able to consume the sugar that we're going to add. I mean, it does cause a little bit more extra ABV, like alcohol-wise, but it's pretty much unmeasurable amount. It's so small amount, such a small amount. And yeah, I'm going live again later on, because it's actually, today is the 4th birthday of this channel. Fermented World Homebrewing channel has been going for 4 years today. And over that time, it's amassed quite a few views. About 80, over 80,000 views. Currently got, last time I looked earlier on, it was 468 subscribers, which, you know, it's not too bad. I mean, there's obviously not much of a gap in the homebrewing market, because there's many people who are much more established and stuff like that. So I came into it like, well, I'm just going to do it for me. I'm going to make a vast archive of all my brews, everything like that. I'm going to share all the recipes publicly for free, so people can just, you know, crack on and brew their own alcohol. I brew mead, cider when I can get hold of the apples. Obviously mead, beer. If you're not sure what mead is, it's like the most ancient form of alcohol there is, which is honey wine. You're growing weed junkie. Okay, if you say so, dude. Hello, Nadia. How are you? But yeah, so as I say, it's a bit of a long process, but we will get through it. And then we'll come up here, we'll get a little bit of sugar in each one of them. And yeah, that'll be good. What?
Need to get into the fridge.
Well, you can go in the fridge, but it's live, so I can't edit it. So if you want, if you want to walk in front of it, feel free. There's nothing I can do when it's a live, duck. Just don't fart near the camera.
I'll definitely fart in the camera. And in your beer when you're not looking.
No, you don't. You would not dare touch my homebrew.
I would.
No.
I would. What are we having for dinner?
I'm not talking to you about dinner right now, Trinity. But I will be preparing it once I finish doing this. As long as it takes. How long is a piece of string?
10 centimetres.
10 centimetres, apparently. Okay. Kids, hey? Kids. I'm glad I was never one. So as you can see, the bit that we pulled out at the beginning, it's not see-through. It's extremely murky. It's got a lot of yeast, like an excessive amount of yeast particles floating around in that. Hence why, I mean, I'm not sure whether you can actually see that now, but the beer that's coming through now is really, really clear, which is nice. It's supposed to have a slight haze to it, this kind of beer, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. It's kind of just however it is, isn't it? It comes out however it does. It's the first time I've brewed this one, so it is only version 1. Once we've drank a couple of it, when they're ready, we'll probably be like, you know, we could have done this better, we could have done that better. I think next time I'll put less bittering hops in. Even though they went in later on this one. They went in at 40 minutes instead of the normal 60 minutes. Normally bittering hops go in at that 60-minute mark. This went in at 40. So I wasn't even expecting that extra. Oh shit. You see? It was live and I nearly knocked a flipping bottle all over the place. Normally, yeah, you don't get as much bittering if you put it in at a later stage. But it had a couple of hop additions in this. I can't remember off the top of my head what it had in it. And I don't have the recipe to hand. But if you do search on YouTube, if you want to find any of my stuff, go onto YouTube, type hashtag fermented world, and then type in what you're looking for. And if I've got a video, it will come up because I always leave a hashtag in the actual title so that I can access it if I need information, because I get crap at writing things down. So it ends up that I end up going back to watch my own video. I have to listen to myself, which is extremely boring, I have to say, to then find out the information on like the gravity or what was put in it and stuff like that. So for any new people who are new to my feed, like I say, I do brew mead as well, which is what we've got down here. This is just clearing out. That's a nice honey mead. Just using water, honey and yeast. Simple as that. And you get yourself a honey wine, which is nice. I do like the honey wine. And honey has been used for fermenting since, I want to say, the Ming Dynasty. Is it Ming? Many, many years ago, ancient China, they found a vase that had residue of honey, rice, and what is believed to have been alcohol. So it's like absolutely ancient. The first ever alcohol to be created was mead. And it was probably created by accident. That's the theory. So the theory goes that they had loads of honey stored in barrels, and then loads of rain comes down. Ooh. Loads of rain comes down. I need to concentrate in a second. But yeah, loads of rain comes down, gets into the barrels. Now, yeast is naturally occurring. It's on absolutely every single plant that you can imagine out there. There's yeast on it. Naturally occurring yeast. So that would have got into the honey, was then mixed with water from the rain, and it created some alcoholic beverage. Gotta check the rewatch. El Bray, how you doing, dude? I hope you're good, man. What's this dude saying? Yeah, you can go make that if you want, mate. That's not for me. Hell no. How you doing, Ray? We're bottling the spruced up IPA, the Pine Needle Pale, and I think this is probably going to be the last bottle I get. Maybe. I'm going to try and squeeze one more out of it, just because of the greed factor. And I've paid for the ingredients, so I bloody well want the beverage. But I might be pulling excessive amounts of yeast with it now. Let me just have a look if I'm going to be able to finish this bottle. Nope, definitely not. That's covered in crap, so that can go back in there. We're not having that one. Yeah, there's way too much sediment in that. It would not have been good. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this out of my way. I'm going to disconnect that, which is going to make a bit of a splash, but we're not bothered. That'll go in there for now. I'm going to move the drip tray. Always important drip tray. Tap is off. I'm going to move that bucket out of the road. We're then going to hoy you folks up here. And I was saying I am going live again tonight. I've got a couple of beers to drink. It's because this channel's 4 years old today. So we're going to have a little bit of a sing-song, a couple of drinky poos, chat some shit, and hopefully have a good time. I think I've got 4 beers of my own to go through. Off the top of my head, one of them I don't share the recipe for because it was a kit that I bought kind of pre-put together. So it isn't actually my recipe, so I won't share it. And the others are ones that I've brewed myself, my own recipe. We've got the raspberry and blueberry sour. We've got the... I'm going to have to look now because I've forgotten already. I know we've got the Midlands Mild. We've got the American IPA. And we've got, yeah, the Bash, which is a New England IPA style beer, which is my favourite style. Just absolutely love it. I don't think I've actually got a New England IPA style in the recipes that I did put together recently. So for you, Ray, that's what we're working with. That's what this spruced up pale ale came out as. But if you remember rightly, I had a problem with the Citra IPA. It had a bit of an odd, peculiar flavour to it. I think that is possibly back in this. Now, I am not sure whether this actually had some of the hops that I used last time. Bear with me. Now the hops could have been a little bit past it, which might be what's caused the issue. But I might just be overthinking it. It could just be because it's extremely bitter and it's got that dankness from the pine needles. I think we'll do this one again with less bittering hops. Because overall it tastes okay, but it's just, there's something about it that I'm not quite sure about. And I always tell you if I'm not a fan of something, because I think transparency is a good thing to have. I mean, I don't even class myself as a YouTuber. I prefer to think of myself as an educator. I am educating people into brewing their own beverages, you know. I do it for fun. It just so happens that I share it online and some people are interested in it, which is great. So, as I say, what we're doing now is we're just adding a tiny amount of sugar. Now, you'll see that some of these have started to foam up. That's something to do with a reaction between, I want to say nitrogen, I think somebody said once, and the sugar passing through it. It's caused, I can't remember what the dude said, but it's perfectly normal. It's not going to cause us any issues. But get this done nice and quick, and I can go sort dinner out for the kids, and then I will be available to have a couple of bevies. But I'm going to keep going back to this because I want to... It has got that smell and taste again. Now, has anyone ever had a beer that's oxidized? What kind of flavours would you get from that if it had? Now, it shouldn't have done because it's been closed up and it's in my fridge, brewing away at 20 degrees. So it's not really been opened other than to put the hops in, which is bizarre. But anywho, it is what it is. It could just be the pine needles and the I might have done too much bittering hops. I think there's about 12 grams of bittering hops. Magnum, I'm sure it was Magnum. But all I do now is lock these off like so, and we're just gonna kind of like tip them up ever so slightly and gently, just to help the sugar dissolve. Then these are gonna sit at room temperature for about a week. People say 3 days, I say just do it for a week. That way you know that anything that's in there that is going to ferment has fermented. This has been sat at this gravity for, oh, how long is it now? Must be 2 days, 2 solid days. And it finished by, if I remember by right, at, I want to say 5.3, but it might be 5.7. I am not 100% sure. You see, such an amateur. I should have checked this shit before I flipping came on live, shouldn't I? But again, I don't care. And I'm going to do this to each one of them. And that's just going to help the sugar dissolve into there, which makes it easier for the yeast to consume. Of course, we're doing it gently because we don't want to oxygenate or add any oxygen in there, which is probably good while there's loads of bubbles there, because that's going to stop the small bit of oxygen in there. As I say, this is going to start a very, very small fermentation inside these bottles, and then it will be carbonated. And if it's not, then I will open these buggers up in a day or two, and I'll add a bit more yeast like I did last time, which it seemed to work pretty decently. The beer didn't have any tainted flavour or anything like that. It tasted pretty good. So I hope you're going to join me later, Ray, because I will be back. Like I said, I'm going to have a couple of beers. I think it's set for about 8 o'clock UK time. I'm not sure what that is. I think that's about 2 in the afternoon for America, possibly. Can't remember now. Can't remember a lot of things. But what I do remember is I didn't put this beer into one of these bottles, so I'm going to drink it. Do you know why? Because A, I refuse to waste it, and B, because I bloody well can. Time here is nearly 5:30. I'm going to have to send a sample of this to my mate, actually. Let me see if I've got any little sample jars. Because I think it tastes the same as it did when we had an issue with it. Which hopefully it doesn't, but it might. This is why I keep these little sample jars to pass out to people. Just going to dunk it in some sanitizing solution. It's like a mini version of a flipping moonshine jar, isn't it? It's not going to do much if it was moonshine though. But let's pour it over this. Yeah, that's just about right. I'll give it to him flat. It doesn't need to be carbonated for him to taste what's going on, because I want him to tell me whether that's the same. So there you go. That's that bottled. That is the whole process of me bottling my beer. Again, like I say, 1 week in a warm environment, i.e. the kitchen. About 20 degrees or 20 to 23 you could probably push it at. It's already finished its main fermentation now, so even if it does get increased to a certain temperature above that, it's not really going to affect any flavour. You want to store it as cool as possible, ideally, after it's been fermented in the bottles. Hey, mate, you alright? Good. I'm just doing a live, mate. I've nearly finished. So yeah. And then after that, it'll be about 3 weeks in a cooler environment, and that just helps it all, just everything mingle together, just taste great, and hopefully it'll taste all right. Again, like I say, I'm not too sure, but I'm sure we'll find out. To anyone who's going to join me later on, I shall see you there. And for now, take it easy. I'll see you all soon.